Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Umineko When They Cry episode 3. So last time we saw the last stand of Kyrie and Rudolph. They were badass, but yeah, it was inevitable they would lose still, right? So we got introduced to some new characters as well, new furniture, the Chiester sisters, and they are very powerful. And then by the end, very sad scene with Uncle Hideyoshi there, pleading for Eva Beatrice to be normal, I guess, to be like his Ava, but yeah, she got him as well. So we lost 3 people last time, and let us continue. 30 minutes had already passed since Rudolph's group had left the guest house. By any measure, their return was too late, and Kraus and Natsuhi, who waited by the entrance, were reaching the limits of their patience. I did say that when they left, maybe at least one would survive, but yeah, none returned. The chain was set on the door. That was a precaution in the event that Rudolph's group was attacked and the master key was stolen from them. For that reason, they needed to wait by the entrance like this for the others to return.
さすがに遅すぎます。彼らの身に何かあったのでは?
Kraus glanced between his watch and the door, struggling to keep his composure.
もし彼らが戻らないようなことがあるならば。
辛い想像だが、その覚悟を始めた方が良さそうだ。やはり不用心だったのだ。
私はそうだと申し上げました。なぜ彼らはこれほどの危険を承知で外に。愚かなことです。ローザさんが襲われたばかりだというのに、なぜに外へ。
それを言っても始まらん。とにかくこれでゲストハウスに大人は3人。私と夏日、そして高熱で寝込んでいるエヴァだけだ。
And Nanjo? Why is he not counting Nanjo? Nanjo is still here, right? At that time, the forceful sound of a door being opened came from the hallway, and they heard Ava's panicked voice. The voice kept calling out Hideyoshi's name. It seemed as though she'd had a bad dream or something due to her fever, and was calling for her husband.
エヴァさん、どうしましたか？大丈夫？うちの人はどこ？
He's gone. I'm sorry.
うちの人がいないの。ずっと一緒にいるって約束してくれたのに。ずっと手を握ってくれてるって約束したのに。
Kraus was struck dumb by this attitude of hers, which she had never shown in front of him before, but Natsui understood her feelings.
落ち着いて。秀吉さんはルドルフさんたちと一緒に今表へ出ています。表へ？どうしてよ。私とずっと一緒にいてくれるって約束したのに。どうして表になんか行ってるの？表へ出てはダメ。表には魔女がいるわ。行ってはダメ。殺されてしまう。
エヴァ、落ち着きなさい。
But yeah, honestly, it's so different to see Ava like this. Comparing her to the first 2 episodes, right? Here, she's very, much more emotional.
秀吉さんはルドルフたちと一緒に屋敷へ戻っているのだ。ど
うして屋敷に行かなくちゃいけないのよ。ここなら安全なのに、どうして表になんか出したのよ。どうして屋敷なんかに戻ったのよ。
明日までの食料を取りに行くことになったのだ。秀吉さんはお前の体調が悪いことを気にしてて、そのためにもと言って。
いつ戻ってくるの？いつ戻ってくるのよ。表はダメよ。バラ庭園はダメ。屋敷はダメ。魔女がいる。黄金の魔女 30分前にここを出ました。私たちは帰りを待っています。30分？そんなのおかしいじゃない。屋敷に行って食料を取って帰ってくるのに、どうしてそんなに時間がかかるのよ。それであんたたちはなんでここでぼんやりしてるのよ。迎えに行かなきゃ。早くあの人のところへ行かなきゃ。
Ava probably had quite a nightmare. And because it had continued even after she woke up, she could no longer hide her panic. Natsui tried calming her down, but all it did was make Ava's emotions explode even more. Maybe they heard the disturbance. Butler and the kids who had supposedly been on the second floor were peeking their faces through the crack of the lobby door. Rouse, Natsui, Ava, and Butler, George, Jessica, and Nanjo, everyone in the guest house had gathered by the entrance and understood the current situation.
母さんの意見に同感だよ。父さんたちの様子を確かめに行くべきだ。
So yeah, Butler's parents, I guess, is done. George's dad and George Jessica, both of them are still here.
まあ、そうだな。荷物が大きくなって手間取ってる可能性だってあるぜ。人手は歓迎のはずさ。
ローザさんが襲われてすぐですぞ。二次遭難の可能性もあります。ここは一つ慎重に。
バカを言わないで。慎重に何よ。助けを求めてるかもしれない主人を見殺しにしろというの。私が様子を見に行くわ。臆病者はここで待っていなさい。
Looking agitated, Ava raised her gun. Judging by her face, it'd be useless for anyone to try and stop her. George, who realized that first, raised his head.
僕も行こう。バトラー君も来るだろう。
I mean, that's his mom. And yeah, his dad is out there, right?
人数が多い方がいい。おう。エヴァおばさん。来るなって言ったってついてくぜ。
私も行くよ。私だけ安全なところに隠れてなんかいられないぜ。ジェシカは出てはなりません。ここに私といるのです。良いですね。
It was like they were implying that those three had already been killed anyway, so going outside would be pointless. Natsuki realized that Ava felt like her heart had been gouged out, but she spoke out strongly as Jessica's mother.
そうね。それがいいでしょうね。兄さんたち一家はゲストハウスで留守番してて。これはうちの家族とバトラ君の家族の問題よ。あと南條先生も来てもらえるかしら。万が一のこともあるかもしれないから。
Dude, what would Dr. Nanjo do? It's better Dr. Nanjo would stay here because yeah, he's a doctor. If anyone, for example, yeah, like had a wound or whatever, the doctor is here. Why are you bringing someone out there that would be needed in case someone gets injured? Like, a doctor is very, very valuable. Oh, the bodies.
バトラ、エヴァ、ジョージ、南條の4人は屋敷のホールにて、ルドルフ、キリエ、秀吉の3人の遺体を発見。
Why are they skipping this all the time? They did this as well with Rosa's body, Rosa and Maria's body. We didn't see the initial reaction to it. I mean, I guess maybe they're skipping it because yeah, we already seen the reactions maybe from the first and second episodes. But no, this is still quite different though. Yeah, like look, Ava. When she saw Hideyoshi's body, I want to see the reaction. Right? And George as well. Because yeah, we saw George reacted to Ava and Hideyoshi, both of them at the same time in the first episode, right? But I want to see like one only. And Rudolph as well, when he found Rosa's body, I wanted to see the reaction. No, they just skipped it. We have Virgilia here, just narrating what happened. Why did they skip it?
第4から第6の番ってことか。
annoying, honestly.
なら死体には、額、胸、腹にそれぞれ、例の悪魔の杭が。
はい。ルドルフの額に1本。秀吉の胸に1本。そしてキリエの腹部に1本。悪魔の杭が打ち込まれています。
So yeah, they gouged him, so put the stakes on whatever the twilight is, yes. Head, chest, stomach.
3人には争ったか、あるいは逃げ回るかしたと思われる着衣の乱れがあります。3人の遺体は寄り添ってはおらず、犯人と遭遇後、ある程度の抵抗を試みたと推定されます。
杭で、額と胸と腹を、とか、相変わらず、無芸。
Even though Ronovan knew it would be super flow, he contemplated telling Butler the truth. Normally, the witch would have killed him in a much more horrible way. The corpses had left in this manner only because Beato had suggested to the witch that she show restraint. The new witch, thinking it would fit well enough as long as she gouged them with stakes, would probably have just stuck a stake into a lump of meat that wasn't even shaped like a human. Rosa's and Maria's corpses were particularly a striking example. If they'd been killed as the Golden Witch had wished, just how gruesome would the corpses have been? Beato had changed into that still better kind of killing Butler had mentioned earlier. Wanting to have Beato's small bit of thoughtfulness appreciated, he thought of telling Butler about this. But judging by Butler's eyes, that might do more harm than good. To humans, the gap between being alive and being dead is very large, yes. Saying that she'd given them better deaths might have made it possible for a demon to understand her feelings and pardon her. But there was no way a human would be so accepting. Understanding this, Ronovan remained silent despite knowing of Beato's modest efforts.
いつも通り、死体の死亡確認からさせてもらうぜ。ロノウェ、赤で宣言を頼む。おい、聞こえないのか？赤で宣言を頼む。副将要求だ。ルドルフ、キリエ、秀吉の3名は死亡している。
申し訳ございません。副将を拒否させていただきます。
Wait, why doesn't he want to say that? What?
なんだと？
Yeah, it's just they're dead.
いきなり、どういうつもりだ？
By now, proclaiming that the victims were dead in red was almost a given in this battle. Refusing to do that was almost like a losing by default. So when Ronovan refused as part of his first move, Butler was dumbfounded.
申し訳ございません。私めのお嬢様の代行者である資格をこれをもって返上させていただきます。
What is happening with this? Yeah. Beato having a different personality, or not personality, but yeah, kinda she became different. And now Ronovan is relinquishing the position.
よって私にはそれを赤で復唱することができません。
I mean, it was a given. All they're dead.
それを復唱する資格があるのはお嬢様ただ一人だけでございます。
正しい言い分です。ロノウェはベアト側の代行者でしかありません。ロノウェが代行の役を負り、かつバトラ君がベアトを相手として認めないならば、新しい代行者を立てる必要があります。
新しき代行者はおりません。どうかバトラ様、お嬢様を再び対局の相手とお認めください。
悪いが、そいつは聞けねえ相談だぜ。あの不愉快な残酷野郎。俺は絶対に対局者だなどと認めない。それを認めないために、俺はこのゲームを降りないんだ。
不愉快な点につきましては、お嬢様に代わりまして謝罪します。また、 お嬢様には二度と不愉快な言動を取らぬよう制約させます。
どうだかな。
バトラ君、あの子の師匠として私も謝罪します。よく言って聞かせますので、どうか一度だけ許してやってはくれませんか？
おいおい、よしてくれよ。まるで俺が悪者みてえだぜ。それに、あんたらにいくら謝罪の言葉を聞かされても、俺の耳には届かない。そいつを、ベアトが自分の口で言えるってんなら、まあ、耳を貸さねえこともないぜ。
わかりました。それがあの子を再び認めてもらう唯一の条件ならば、あの子に謝罪をさせましょう。
Okay.
ロノウへ、あの子を呼びなさい。よろしいですね、バトラ君。
好きにしろよ。だが、俺が許すと期待するな。呼べよ。あのムカつく魔女。
ありがとうございます、バトラ様。ただいま、お呼びいたします。お嬢様、バトラ様がお呼びでございます。
She's gonna be sad. Okay. No, I thought her face was gonna be like super sad, but just normal, I guess. After a few heartbeats, gold butterflies gathered together in midair and created Beato's form. It was a much more docile appearance than the one she'd made before.
呼んだか、ロノウェ。
話は聞いていたはずですよ。あなたの口から何か言うことはありますか？
It looked as though Beato shrunk slightly under a butler's cold gaze. Several times, Beato made an effort to get the words out of her mouth, but it didn't work so well. And she was just as awkward as someone trying to light a match during a freezing winter with icy hands. Even as she did that, the game board was advancing. In the hall, they had just found the corpses of the new victims had broken down crying. Beato, Beato, Beato.
親父、キリエさん。うわ
Okay, at least they still showed it to us. I was yapping earlier, but they still showed
母
it.
さん、しっかりして。僕だって悔しい、悲しい。
I mean, that's your dad. Yes, of course it's gonna be crushing for you.
おそらく即死だったでしょう。たとえ彼らが倒れた直後に我々がここに訪れたとしても、きっと手遅れだったに違いありません。
いいえ、違うわ。きっと生きてたわよ。胸にこんなものを刺されて。うちの人はもがき苦しみながら死んでいったに違いないのよ。もっと早く来ていればきっと助かった。きっと助かったのよ。
バトラ君も辛いだろうけど、しっかり。大丈夫だよ。大丈夫だぜ、兄貴。もうちょっとだけ泣かせてくれ。俺が一番マシなんだ。俺が一番悲しくないはずなんだ。だからもうちょっとだけ泣いたら大丈夫だから。そんなことないよ。
両親を失った心の痛みはよくわかる。僕には母さんがまだいる。
But yeah, Kirie doesn't like Butler though. I mean,
バトラ君よりはるかにマシだ。
いや、違うぜ。ジョージの兄貴が一番辛いはずなんだ。分かってんだよ。兄貴、ジョージの兄貴が。俺たちの中で一番悲しくて辛いんだ。俺はそれを分かってる。だからこれ以上、メソメソなんて泣いちゃいけねえんだ。
どうして僕の方が辛いなんて。
俺にとっちゃ、親父もキリエさんも、成人して独り立ちしたら、いつかは別れる人間さ。
I guess what Butler's saying is that George is always, yeah, with his dad, and his dad is a good guy. I mean, Uncle Hideyoshi, right? As we see him, he's a good guy, and then now he's gone. And for Butler, he was not. I guess he was not with his dad and Kirie for maybe 6 years, I suppose, right? That's why it must. Yeah, it hurt much more for George. Because he's much more closer, I suppose, to his dad than Butler to his father, Rudolph, and his stepmom, Kirie.
親である以上、子供より先に死ぬのは宿命だ。それが、少し早くなっちまっただけの話だぜ。だが、兄貴は違うぜ。いつか別れる親だけじゃない。これからの人生をずっと一緒に生きていくはずの。
Yeah, I guess. Okay, I actually forgot about Shannon. I mean, they died, yeah, way too early in this episode. I actually forgot about her. Yeah, I guess Shannon. I mean, I guess, yes. I was saying earlier that much more closer to that and this and that. But yeah, Shannon. Yeah, I suppose Shannon.
シャノンちゃんまで失ったんじゃないかよ。人の命に重さなんかねえさ。赤ん坊の命だって年寄りの命だって同じくらいに尊いだろうよ。だがよ、それからの人生が長ければ長いほど、一緒に築いてく未来が長ければ長いほど、その死ってのは悲しいものなんじゃねえのかよ。兄貴はシャノンちゃんと婚約したんだろ。これからの人生と家庭を一緒に築いていこうって約束したんだろ。その未来のでかさが、幸せのでかさがよ、俺の痛みなんかとは比べ物にならねえ。だから兄貴はもっともっと泣いても許されるはずなんだ。なのに俺たちいとこの兄貴格だからって無理に冷静を装ってやめてよ、バトラ君。
George was trying to make a calm smile, but already he couldn't stop a single hot tear from leaving a streak down his face.
悲しくないわけがないじゃないか。僕はシャノンと一緒にたくさんの未来を思い描き合ったさ。きっと100年の人生では叶えきれないくらいの夢を語り合ったさ。その夢の一番最初の籍を入れることさえ叶えられなくて悲しくないわけがないじゃないか。
それに比べたら俺なんかだから俺にはこれ以上泣く資格なんかねえんだ。兄貴だってこらえてるのに俺にこれ以上の涙を流す資格なんて。
同じだよ。親しい人を失えば 悲しいのは、僕もバトラ君も同じだよ。だから、バトラ君が僕より涙を流してはいけないなんてルールはない。そして、僕だって、もうこれ以上、涙をこらえなければならないなんてルールも、ない。
兄貴。兄貴。
未来を語り合ったシャノンが死んだ。父さんも死んだ。悲しいな。
As Butler and George hug each other tightly, they cried a waterfall of tears over each other's shoulders for the people who had been so precious to them.
どうして俺が、ジョージの兄貴が一番辛いって言ったか。
Yeah, I understand
わかる
now.
か。
Yes.
聞いていたからわかる。その後の人生を共にする時間の長さに悲しみは比例するとな。
もちろんそれだけじゃ測れねえけどな。俺たち人間はお前ら魔女とは違う。生きてから死ぬまでという有限の時間をその力の限り生きている。それをないがしろにする奴は許せない。ましてや嘲笑いもてあそぶような奴は絶対に許せない。お前のような死の概念もめちゃくちゃな奴には理解もできねえだろうがよ。これから生きる時間の長さだけじゃない。一生懸命に生きている奴の人生を嘲笑うこと。これが一番俺には許せねえんだ。ジョージの兄貴はがむしゃらに頑張って人生を生きてた。シャノンちゃんと結婚するために悲壮な覚悟をしてこの日に臨んでいたはずなんだ。俺みたいに久しぶりにいとこと会えるなんて浮かれてたやつとはわけが違
う。しかしだな。
ベアト、今は黙って聞きなさい。
お前の言い分にも一定の理解はする。お前には自分の復活のためにおかしな碑文に沿った殺人を続ける必要があるってんだろ。だからその範囲内でのお前の殺人はお前の立場の事情を汲み取る限りギリギリの理解はできる。それがお前にとっては必要な行為だからだ。ならそれ以上の不要な行為は全てお前の無意味な残酷趣味ということになる。つまり第一の晩に6人を殺すことまでがお前にとっての必要な行為ならば、顔を砕くとか腹を裂いてお菓子を詰め込むなんて真似は全て全く不必要な。
True, you just need to just kill them, right? But for Beato, I guess she wanted to have fun with it.
お前の残酷趣味だってことになる。俺はお前のこの点について断じて許すことができないんだ。
Yeah, that's what Butler doesn't like. If you just want to end them, just end them. You don't need to open their stomachs, put some sweets into them, right? Just end them. But dude, I don't. Actually, it's hard to believe, or not to believe, to say what is happening here with Beato, right? Is this real? Is she actually feeling bad for what she did, or is she, maybe she's just faking it? it kind of feels yeah, both of them. I don't know. It's hard to say.
お前はローザおばさんがひどい殺され方を繰り返された時、
Because yeah, she just suddenly just had such a change of heart, right? After seeing what Eva Beatrice was doing. After that scene, she just changed. But is it real though? That's the thing. Is it really real? Maybe after this episode, yeah, if this episode ends and she's still like this, it's real.
結局は最後には生き返らせるのだから、どう殺したっていいじゃないか、みたいなことを言ったそうだな。ワルギリアに聞いてるぜ。
それはまあ
最後には生き返るなら何度殺してもいいという考えは、命をもてあそぶだけの全く不必要な行為ではないのか。殺すなら人思いに殺せ。もてあそぶな。殺さないならいたぶるな。お前は人の命を自在に操れるのをいいことに、命の尊厳を忘れてしまった。だから俺は認められないんだ。命の重みを、そして失った時の悲しみを知らない奴を、俺は対戦相手だと断じて認められない。
無限の魔法が邪法と言われるゆえんです。無限の魔女に有限の概念はない。壊す、殺すという有限と終焉の概念がないのです。それゆえに無限の魔女は時に生と死の狭間をゴム跳びで遊ぶかのように、その行き来を遊び出すようになります。それはとてもとても恐ろしいことです。だから私は無限の魔女として自ら望み、あなたの域まで達しなかったのです。
Oh, sorry. I was muted, but Beato had been too young to really listen to those words. She had been too wild. She had been possessed by that detestable pleasure.
壺を割ってはならぬと言われてきた。でもだからこそいつか割ってみたいと思っていた。そして無限の魔法を得て、いくら壊しても好きなだけ元に直せると知ったとき、わらわは壺を壊すことがこれほどまでに楽しかったのかと。
それを禁忌の蜜と呼びます。人はその中身に惹かれるのではない。それを封ずる錠前に惹かれるのです。実に嘆かわしいことです。
ワルギリアに聞きたい。無限の魔法なんてものがどうしてあるんだ。それは何のためにこの世にあるんだ。
無限の魔法に限らず、魔法はすべて人の世に幸福をもたらすために存在するのです。今さらバトラ君には信じがたいでしょうが、私たち魔女は人の世に恵みを与えるために、人と人ならざる者たちとの架け橋になるべく修行を重ねているのです。
死者を繰り返し蘇らせ、何度もいじめ殺すことでどう人の世に役立つってんだ。
大切な形見の壺が割れてしまった時、それを直すことで誰もが笑顔を取り戻すならば、私は何度でも魔法にて直すでしょう。しかしそれは壊すために直すのではありません。人に幸福を与えるために蘇らせるのです。
だとしたらベアト、お前は無限の魔女失格だな。今俺は漠然と思ったことがある。 どうして俺がお前とこんなおかしなゲームを延々と続けてるのかだ。
Yeah, can you just, for example, leave this?
これは俺を屈服させるためのゲームじゃない。お前が本当の意味で無限の魔女に認められるための試験ではないのかってな。
It's a test for you to be accepted as an endless witch in the truest sense.
知らぬわ。わらわがそなたにゲームを申し込んでいるのは、単なる暇つぶしだ。誰の思惑でもないわ。
俺は今ワルギリアからの魔女の定義を聞いた。それによるならばベアト、お前は魔女ですらない。その修行の途中で自らの力を誤解した見習いってことになる。これは魔女と人間の戦いのはず。ならば魔女でないお前に俺の相手としての資格はない。わかるな。
わらわがまだ見習い風情だと申すか。ならばわらわはいつそなたの対戦相手だと再び認められるのか。
What is that face?
いつこのゲームを再開できるというのか。
さあな。それは少なくとも今じゃない。お前が俺の言った話をちゃんと理解できて本当の魔女になった時、俺はお前を再びゲームの対戦相手だと認めるだろうよ。
そのような抽象的な言い方ではわからぬ。どうすればお前の許しを超えるのか、はっきりと聞かせよ。
いや、これで十分だ。あとはお前が考えろ。俺が言いたいのは以上だ。理解ができないならワルギリアやロノウェに相談してみろ。お前みたいなガキンチョはまず大人の言葉に耳を傾けるところから始めやがれ。ワルギリア、ゲームは一度中断する。
Suspend the game for now.
ロノウェが代行を降りた以上、あとはベアトが対局者としてふさわしい資格を持つのを待つしかない。
了解しました。ベアトがその資格を得たと認められるまでゲームを対局者不在のまま進行させます。ベアトもそれでよろしいですね。
異論はない。わらわは時間とゆっくり考えられる場所が欲しい。これにて席を外してもよいか。
ああ、いいぜ。
それではまたな。
待てよ。そうしょぼくれた顔すんな。
それはすまぬな。わらわは胸の内がすべて顔に出る性分。偽れぬ。
ならまだ構成の余地はあるってことだぜ。
She said I cannot deceive. Really?
一つだけ約束する。俺はお前とのゲームに勝つかもしれないし負けるかもしれない。お前が戻ってこなけりゃ不戦勝ってこともあるだろうよ。
At that point, the butler stopped talking for a second. Then he spoke forcefully.
しかし絶対に俺からは降りない。お前を不戦勝にだけは絶対にしない。お前が再び俺の好敵手としてそこに座るのを俺はずっとここで待っているぞ。
バトラ様、
ありがとうなバトラ。わらわはきっとそなたに認められて戻ってくるぞ。
After showing a hopeful smile for a very short while, Beato vanished. After seeing her expression as she left, Butler was absolutely convinced that her face could tell no lies. The 7 survivors returned to the guest house once again. By now, it was clear that those who went outside would not return alive. Rudolph's group had gone with 2 guns and a master key, but those had been lost. It was already clear that those had been stolen by the culprit. Because the shutters were closed on the windows, they couldn't be opened even if the culprit had a master key. The front and back doors that led to the outside were all sealed by chains, and they were further blocked with sofas and tables. Okay, good job, good job. Even if the culprit decided to break in through violent means, it wouldn't be easy for them. But is it only one entrance? I guess only one entrance, right? I mean, but usually like big houses like this have like back doors, right? And yeah, they can even go through the windows, for example. Okay.
台風が今となってはむしろ幸いかもしれんな。もしも晴れていたならゲストハウスに放火するという手もあり得たかもしれん。
そもそも台風でなかったなら午前中に船が来てたわ。それを不幸中の幸いと言えるかは微妙ね。
エヴァさん、体の具合はいかがですか？無理をされないようにしてください。
ありがとう。熱はまだ感じるけど、そんなことを言ってる場合じゃないわ。子供のためにも今は寝込んでる場合じゃない。
After crying so much in front of Hideyoshi's corpse, Ava had felt strong self-awareness of her position as a mother, and her expression conveyed a strong will. In actual fact, her fever still hadn't gone down, and she was aware of that. If she didn't keep a strong hold on herself, she felt as though the fever would make her mind hazy again. By this point, the first floor formed a final line of defense set up by Kraus, Natsuhi, and Ava. The children and guests, Nanjo, had been strongly warned not to go downstairs without taking great care. If the culprit used a ladder or something, it probably wouldn't be impossible for them to attack from the second floor. But it wouldn't be easy for them to break those sturdy shutters from such an insecure position. The second floor was relatively safe compared to the first. Butler and George had also wanted to remain on the first floor so that they could fight if the worst happened, but Ava had to put a stop to that. In her mind, George was now the only member of her family. It seemed that she didn't want or even want to expose him to the danger of coming downstairs to the first floor. Kraus and Natsuhi could understand that feeling. Also, a great deal of time had passed since the siege began. In the second floor's cousin's room, Butler, George, Jessica sat dazed, and they didn't even listen to the TV that had been left on. For a while, Nanjo had been with them and had tried to lend them words of encouragement. But when he realized that he might actually be having the opposite effect, he hid himself in his own room on the same second floor. George kept losing daily at the photographs inserted in his notebook. It was from the time he'd taken a vacation to Okinawa with Shannon. Shannon's happy smile was contained in those photos. George could remember the temperature and the humidity, the warmth and the strength of the wind. And even what he had been talking about with her at the time, those photos had been taken as clearly as though it had been yesterday. So to George, they weren't simply photos, but a door to bring back warm memories. In this room, even though the sound of the typhoon and the TV should enter George's hearing, it was the scenery of Okinawa he had seen with her and her laughing voice that reached his eyes and ears. George had tried to be reborn after meeting Shannon. He had sworn to separate himself from the timid person he had once been. Easily caught up in the atmosphere, unable to refuse a request and easily used by those around him. He had resolved himself to become a strong man who could make her life more joyous. Therefore, if he hadn't met Shannon, the man called Shinomiya George would probably have lived a very different life. And the George of that different life surely wouldn't have been as excellent as a man as he is now. This was from the second episode. The person I am now exists for Shannon's sake. Now that Shannon is gone, it's completely meaningless, isn't it? He felt a deep, deep sadness, as though he himself had become empty. That feeling must have been tormenting him this whole time. However, until Butler mentioned it, he hadn't been aware of the feeling himself. He'd finally managed to remember that it should have been alright for him to cry much, much more. So he cried. Just like Butler had, he cried himself dry. By now his eyes were bright, red and swollen and he couldn't cry anymore. So George did his best to change his way of thinking. He was not meaningless now. And he should be grateful to Shannon for giving him such a character. The dead don't come back to life. He would have got to get over being separated from his most beloved person. If he were to chase after Shannon and kill himself, she would surely be deeply dejected. It worked the other way around too. If he had died and Shannon had chased after him, throwing away her own life, he wouldn't have been able to forgive himself. But yeah, there was never at least until right now, no case that Shannon is alive and then George is dead. No. First episode, Shannon died again, first time, right? And then George found her. And then the second time, they died at the same time. So for here in the third episode, it was like, yeah, the first episode again. Shannon died and then George finding about it. I wonder what would happen if it was the opposite, right? Would Shannon become, I guess she's gonna be much more emotional, right? Yeah, I would like to see that as well. Yeah, like super, super emotional about that. So he chose to surpass his sadness and anger and decided to thank her instead. After meeting Shannon, she made his days rich and full and taught him the meaning of working hard for people's sake. As a result, she had shaped him into the kind of person he wanted to be. He wanted to thank her for that. He tried to quell his sadness in this way. But each time he did, he remembered Shannon's smile. Actually, I love this music. Yeah, this one, the Far. Far is the title, right? You can see it here. Far, yeah, current track, Far. He understood it logically. He knew that grieving any more than this would only make her grieve in heaven. But that didn't bring a stop to his sadness. That's such a nice scene. Yeah, very nice colors.
なんで人が死ぬってのはよ、こんなに悲しいんだろうな。
Butler muttered, yeah, it's because, yeah, the feeling that you cannot talk to them, you cannot see them anymore. And yeah, it's sad because of that. It was though as he was speaking on behalf of all humans. His question probably hadn't been directed at anyone, but Jessica answered.
別れはどんな形でもいつも悲しいさ。でもそれが例えば老いであるとか何かの時間であるとか、あらかじめ約束されていていつか訪れる別れであると分かっているものは、その悲しみを長い時間をかけてあらかじめ薄めておくことができる。それを許されないから突然の不幸は悲しいんだろうよ。
なるほどな。そりゃ病気にでもかかって何年も昏睡状態になってりゃ少しずつ心の整理もついてくだろうけど、ある日突然じゃその暇もねえもんな。
本来なら数年をかけて薄めるべき悲しみが一度に押し寄せる。そりゃ辛いわけさ。時には人の生涯に傷を残すほど深い悲しみを与えることもあるかもしれない。
生涯に傷を残すほどか。
じいさまのオカルト趣味もさ、そう囁かれてたんだよな。例のベアトリーチェって愛人を大昔に亡くして、それが悲しくて悲しくて立ち直れなくて、それで死者を蘇らせるためのオカルトの研究に残りの人生を全て捧げるようになったのではないかって、そう囁かれてた。
だとしたらじいさまは最後の土壇場でその奇跡を成し遂げたな。犯人は蘇ったベアトリーチェで、じいさまは殺される瞬間に再会できたってことになるぜ。自分で蘇らせてそれに殺されるとは皮肉な話さ。
それでもおじいさまは会えたんだろうね。人生の半分を賭してもう一度会いたいと願った女性に、わずかなひとときとはいえ再会できたんだろうね。
丸焼きにされちまったけどな。人生の半分をかけた研究にしてはちょいと割の合わない成果だろうぜ。
そんなことはないよ。たとえほんのひとときであったとしても、愛した女性に再会できたおじいさまは幸せだったはずさ。仮に生命の摂理に逆らった罪を神に咎められて、その身を焼かれ地獄に落とされたとしても、その見返りの再会がほんのわずかな時間だったとしてもね。
ジョーシ兄さん、
神の怒りに触れてこの身を焼かれようとも構わない。わずかな時間でもいいからシャノンを再び蘇らせてくれるなら、僕は残りの人生すべてを おじい様と同じ研究に捧げるよ。5分でいいから、シャノンともう一度言葉を交わしたい。1分でもいいから。それと引き換えに、すべての人生を捧げても、僕は構わない。
兄貴。
When Butler and Jessica realized that their pointless discussion was causing George pain, they could do nothing more than shut their mouths. George directed his thoughts to Kinzo's life. He sacrificed half his life to research that no one understood, and on the last day of his life, he revived the person he loved most, and probably succeeded in his reunion in his final moments. George didn't know how much time they had together. He didn't know if they'd been given an hour or just 5 minutes. However, the moment must have been enough to reward him for all those months of research. Even though he spent dozens of years to achieve it, that small amount of time was probably more worth it to him. Until today, I never believed in the occult or magic or anything. Somewhere in my heart, I even made fun of grandfather's research, thinking of it as nothing more than a pastime. However, I won't make fun of it anymore. No, to the contrary, I'll believe strongly that it's real. If the power of belief can create miracles, I'll probably throw away all of my studies up until today, spending the rest of my life from today onwards studying magic. Give me the power of magic, and give me a miracle that'll let me see Shannon again.
Goめんよ、みんな。僕もどうかしてる。魔法で死者が蘇るくらいだったら、世界中の人々が魔法を学ぶだろうね。でも、現実にはそんなことはない。誰も学ばない。死者が魔法では蘇らないって知っているから。ごめんよ、妙なことを言い出して。僕のせいでおかしな空気になっちゃったね。みんなだって辛いだろうに。気を使わせてごめん。
Even if it did to divert myself from my sadness, maybe I did say something strange. If I keep talking about stuff that's so weird, I'm sure it won't do anything good for their sadness. But that doesn't mean I can bear the silence.
僕は下に行ってもう一杯コーヒーをもらってくる。うちの母さん、コーヒーの入れ方にはこだわりがあるんだよ。みんなもおかわりはいるかい？
Butler-kun and Jessica-chan lightly shook their heads. Without pressing them any further, I took my mug and I left the room. The shutters were all closed in the hallway, so the corridor was very dim. I tried visiting Dr. Nanjo's room and asking him if he wanted more coffee, but he said he didn't need any either. It seems my mother's orthodox method of making coffee isn't universally appreciated. One time I made some for Shannon, but she told me that while it was delicious, it was a little strong.
Shannon.
That's no good. Even though I left the room to change my mood, that image of Shannon's face filling my head hasn't faded in the slightest. I keep seeing those fun days with her and more vividly. And it's saddening that I never even got the chance to see her dead face. According to our parents, she was apparently killed with something like a gun or a spear. I'm sure they were just trying to console me, but they had said her dead face had been very beautiful and peaceful. I wonder if she had the engagement ring I gave her last night on her finger. If she accepted my engagement, she should have had it on the ring finger of her left hand. Last night, we were both on the edge of losing it and not calm at all. Shannon accepted my engagement pretty courageously, but she might have regretted that as a rash action when she cooled her head. She might have taken the ring off. I wonder if she has the ring on now. I want to be sure of at least that much. I want to know how she felt at the very end. But even if I do confirm that, it doesn't mean she'll come back. I wonder what will happen to her body. After the autopsy, it will probably be immediately cremated. Then I'll never be able to see her face again, even her dead face, for all eternity.
僕はシャノンを失ったショックで少しおかしくなってるのかな。
I don't want her body to be burned. If she's burned and turned to ash, never again will it be possible for her to revive. They say cremation is frowned upon in Western tradition. I mean, I guess. Right, I think in most of the eastern parts of the world, I think a lot of people does cremation. But in Western, I'm not sure. Maybe some only some. Because on the day of resurrection, there would be no body to revive. Because of that, it seemed that great criminals in Western history were often cremated after execution as punishment. And their ashes were sometimes scattered in rivers and such. In other words, to Western people, death is nothing more than sleep until resurrection time. It is essential that the corpse is left after death.
つまりそれは西洋人は死者が蘇る奇跡の存在を知っていたからなんだ。でも日本にはその奇跡がなかったから焼いてしまうんだ。
Now I understand. I understand why grandfather idolizes the Western occult. That was his only reason from the beginning. Just to revive the person dear to him, grandfather spent the rest of his remaining life researching the Western occult. The situation surrounding us now is abnormal. Grandfather did revive his beloved Beatrice. And that Beatrice, or Beatrice, has carried out a terrible serial murder, with linked closed rooms that force us to conclude that magic was used. The Golden Witch Beatrice, the incarnation of the miracle of the Western occult, and also the culprit who killed Shannon. She's an entity I should hate, and yet for some reason I want to cling to her. I wonder if Shannon could be revived with the magic of miracles, which grandfather bet his life on. So yeah, what he's saying is he wants to cling to her because he's thinking that, what do you call this? Yeah, if this one, Beatrice, got revived, maybe Shannon could be revived. According to the legend of the Oshirimiya family, grandfather met her long ago and was given a vast quantity of gold. Then, if I also met with her, instead of gold, would she give me Shannon's life? As collateral, I don't care what sort of devil contract she imposed. I wouldn't mind sacrificing all of my remaining life. George probably couldn't believe or realize that his voiceless wish was heard by the witch herself, who stood right behind him. Beatrice had been listening to the entire discussion between the children just now in the cousin's room. Butler had told her that she didn't know the value of human lives, and wanting to understand that in her own way, she had stealthily visited listening in on their discussion. What is the title of this chapter? The definition of a witch?
それがね、それを叶えればわらわは魔女だと認められるのか。
Wait, don't tell me she's gonna bring her back. Beato looked at the palms of her hands. She handed over most of her once surging magical power when the new witch succeeded the name of the Endless Witch. Of course, her current power still made her worthy of being called a witch, but it could not begin to compare to her previous strength.
無限の魔法などなくとも、わらわは千年に名を轟かす大魔女であるぞ。死者を蘇らすなど、造作もないことよ。
But yeah, is she gonna do it though? Inside her head, she thought about several magical steps she could take to revive the dead. Even magic that should have been easy in the past would be difficult with her current power. She thought of something, then clicked her tongue, then did so again over and over. In the end, she finally thought of a single spell. But that was a spell that couldn't use by herself. Or that she couldn't use by herself. It was a spell that witches with weak power used, one that rely on the aid of others. In the past, Beato had looked down upon the type of magic. Therefore, she frantically tried to search for any conceivable alternate. But in the end, she couldn't think of one and slumped over in self-derision. Then, careful not to surprise him, she softly called out. Softly to George's heart. Okay. Oh, they're actually gonna be talking like this?
後ろ宮ジョージ。わらわの声が聞こえるか。
聞こえるとも。あなたは誰だい？本当に魔女のベアトリーチェ？それとも僕の悲しみが生んだ幻想なのか？もしも前者だったなら僕の願いを聞いてほしい。そして後者なら僕をそっとしておいてほしい。
Their conversation in a mental world was a lot like having won a dream. When you dream, haven't you ever had the experience of casually accepting something that would have been absurd in the real world? The conversation in this world was like that. So even though a witch appeared and started talking to George, he was not surprised.
わらわが黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェである。本来わらわとそなたはこうして会話を交わすことなどできぬ。しかしそなたがわらわのことを強く意識し会話を望むからこうして互いのチャンネルを合わせることができる。
シャノンを殺したのがあなたなのか、あなたを名乗る何者かの仕業なのか。僕ただあなたが本当の魔女として存在しているならばどんな対価にも応じる。僕の命を望むなら今すぐに捧げてもいい。どうかシャノンを生き返らせてほしい。それが無理ならせめてわずかの間話をさせてくれるだけでもいい。お願いだ。
対価はいらぬ。その願い叶えて使わそう。
本当にシャノンを。
うん。だが反言の魔法を扱うには今のわらわには魔力が足りぬ。だからそなたの手を借りねばならぬ。
僕にできることならどんなことでも。それが僕の心臓を今すぐこの場で取り出すことであったとしても僕は躊躇しない。
そんなものいらぬというのに。わらわは魔法を唱える。さすれば冥府の扉に隙間ができよう。だが、今のわらわには、その隙間よりシャノンの魂を連れ出せるほどの力はない。しかし、シャノンのことを強く思うそなたなら、その思いを魔力に変えて、彼女の魂を必ずや連れ戻せるだろう。どうだ、わらわを手伝うか？
手伝うとも。シャノンの命が蘇るなら、僕は何を失うことも恐れない。
George's fist shook in silence. Then he slowly came to his senses. He had been absent-mindedly standing near the window in the hall that whole time, his mug still in his hand. And the witch from his dream was still there.
そんな、夢じゃない。
静かにせよ。今のわらわはとても脆い。この上さらに他の人間まで現れたら姿を保ちきれぬ。そなたの願いは叶えるから、今は沈黙せよ。よいか。
George covered his mouth with both hands, nodding enthusiastically several times. And in that instant, he almost dropped the mug he was holding. George frantically juggled it around and caught it. He was afraid that if it fell to the floor and made a loud sound, the witch's form might disappear like a bubble popping. He softly set the mug on the floor and stared at the witch in front of him again. Her form did not disappear. It wasn't a dream.
さあ、シャノンが眠る客室へ行くぞ。そなたの思いの力にて、彼女の魂を連れ戻すのだ。
行くってどうやって？下には母さんたちがいる。表へ出るのを許してくれるわけがない。それにあなたはさっき、他の人間が現れたら姿を保てないと言わなかったかい？
そういえばそうだったな。下にはクラウスたちがおったか。それでは確かに下へ降りられぬな。ならば、一階へ降りずに屋敷へ行けばいいではないか。簡単な話よ。
Miyato laughed as though she thought of a pleasant prank. And with her golden pipe, she lightly tapped a window with its shutter closed. When she did, 3 gold butterflies appeared from the pipe and opened the lock on the window as though melting it. Then the window opened without a sound. The shutter beyond it was exactly the same. The clasp unset itself, also without making a sound, and it quietly opened. The window opened, exposing the wind and rain outside the mansion. Perhaps because of the direction or something related to the construction of the building, the wind did not blow inside. Because of that, for a while, George felt as though this entrance that opened to the outside was a dream or illusion, and he couldn't accept it as real.
さあ行くぞ。ついてまいる。
Beato gently floated upwards. It was a natural action like that of a diver enjoying an underwater stroll. It made it easy to believe that if you acted like she did, you too might be able to float into the sky just as though you were swimming through the water. No, George did not believe that. So without thinking, just as she had done, he also gently, as though swimming in the water, lifted his feet. But imagine if she dropped him?
わらわが説明するよりも早く空を舞うことを覚えたか。
George was shocked to find himself floating in midair like he was swimming. Of course, Beato was also shocked that George, who shouldn't have been able to use magic, had figured out how to do that just by instinct.
空が飛べるなんて、泳げるなんて。
理屈を考えてはならぬ。それが自然なことであると受け入れよ。ニュートンとかアインシュタインとか人間たちの競技を思い出してはならぬぞ。特に高き空を飛んでいる時はな。墜落する未熟な魔女も時におる。
あるがままを受け入れる。あるがままを受け入れる。
George repeated those words over and over. He must not deny magic no matter what. Denying that would be like throwing away what might be. His first and last chance to revive Shannon. However, compared to Beato, who was elegantly drifting like the smoke, George's movement clearly resembled someone underwater. Therefore, he didn't act like he was kicking his feet in water every once in a while. He'd be caught by the force of gravity bit by bit.
わらわが初めて空を舞った時よりは上出来であると褒めておこう。行くぞ。ついて参れ。
When Beato beckoned to George, she gently flew into the stormy sky. It was just like a scene from a fairy tale. George's eyes felt entirely like an extension of this dream.
空を飛べるのはすごいけど、すごい風と雨だ。
なんだ、雨と風に苛まれるのか。それを防ぐ魔法を教えてもよいが、今のそなたには早いし、今はそれを習う時間を割くのも惜しかろう。
ええ。僕が必要としている魔法はそれじゃない。
George wore a strong-willed gaze, refusing to let the wind and rain get to him.
見えてきたぞ、屋敷だ。もう少し頑張れよ。今落ちればバラの茂みだぞ。
The undulating rose garden was spread beneath the witch and George's gaze. The illusion-like scene no longer surprised George. Only the gradually approaching mansion was reflected in his eye.
シャノン、待ってて。必ず君を蘇らせてみせる。
At that time, the cruel new witch could be seen staring at the guest house from a different location.
あと
残すは第7、第8の番だけね。あと2人で先代のババアの義理はおしまいだわ。
Okay, let me just check this. How loud it is or the effects. Okay.
クラウスと夏日を殺す。夫婦仲良くね。
にひ、標的はどうかに。ゲストハウス1階ロビーにて標的2名と後ろ宮エヴァを捕捉。反魔法力測定。410へデータリンク。410データ受領。反魔法力は極めて小。エヴァさえ席を外せばまな板の上のマグロにアワビです。
If Ava just goes outside, they're tuna and abalone on a chopping board.
いかがしますか、大ベアトリーチェ卿。ご命令をいただければすぐにも狙撃いたします。どうかご命令を。
ほんとにあんたたちは便利な家具ね。死体をほじるしか能のない中古家具どもとは大違いだわ。
Ooh.
ねえ。シエスタ姉妹、またあなたたちの手際を見せてちょうだい。
Wait, they're gonna kill again?
攻撃準備よ。死体はまた運び出してね。たっぷり遊んであげるんだから。文句はなしよ、ロノウェイ。
はい、かしこまりました。
At the moment, the witch noticed something. It was as though some presence had disappeared. Was it her imagination?
今、何か気配を感じなかった？誰か感じた人いる？
申し訳ありません。私は何も気づきませんでした。お許しを。私たちゲストハウスを観測中でしたから周辺監視はオフにしてます。にひ。ルシファーちゃんは？
I like how this new furniture just making fun of the seven stakes, right?
何か気配感じた？
I mean, Lucifer in general has been made fun of ever since the fight with Kanon and Shannon, right? And now she's here again and they're making fun of her again. For just an instant, Lucifer glanced at Renove, asking whether she should answer honestly or not. Renove gave a small nod in response.
いいえ、申し訳ございません、ベアトリーチェ様。私たちは何も。中古家具ゆえ愚鈍なことをお許しください。
そう。大悪魔のあなたがそう言うなら、きっと私の気のせいなんでしょうね。
The witch persistently stared in the direction their presence had disappeared to. That was where the rose garden lay. And beyond that, she could see the mansion's dark silhouette created by lightning. It took quite some time before she pushed her unsatisfied feelings aside and once again faced the guest house. Oh, it's over. Okay. I do wonder though. I do wonder what's gonna happen with Beato, George. What will happen? Okay, so I guess we will take a break here. So let me just see this. What do we have? Rudolph, Kyrie. Okay, let's start from here. Careless. Who knew she was still alive? That in the mansion's hall, with his forehead having been pierced by a weapon shaped like a stake. From now on, they have to be finished off with stakes. Apparently, vulgar. Okay. The stomach is in very little spot. Wouldn't it have been okay to kill her by a safer method and just stick a stake in the corpse? Okay, so how many people do we have left? 1, Nanjo, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got 7 left. We need, I guess, 2 more for the remaining Twilights, right? I wonder who is gonna die. But based on this, it may be Nanjo. For emotional impact, it might be Natsui and Kraus, right? But could be Jessica though. Honestly, I want to see Jessica. Yeah, Jessica. Well, at least one of them. And then I want to see what Natsui or Kraus will say. Yeah, we've never seen Jessica dying early. Yeah, I actually want to see what Kraus and Mama will say here. Like, it sounds weird, but just I want to see the reaction with that. I mean, of course, it's gonna be super emotional, but I just want to see it, especially for Kraus here. Like, Kraus hasn't really like shown, I guess, emotion, like super emotional, like crying or whatever like that. Right? I want to see that, and maybe we would get that in this episode. I mean, so yeah. We are gonna continue this and do more of Umineko When They Cry, episode 3 in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.